So do what you love to do. Do what you love as your work, as your job, as what you do in your life. Do what you love to do. So I noticed about this that both my parents told me this, I guess, command to do what you love to do. Um, it's something that a lot of people say or a lot of people share. I don't know how many people, but I've definitely heard it throughout my whole entire lifetime. So why am I talking about this today? Well, today I had a realization in relation to why my parents were telling me to do this, and it relates to. I mean, I don't think they didn't tell me this consciously, because I noticed it's actually a subconscious point or unconscious point, wherein there are people who make a lot of money through being happy, through being joyful and, let's say, expressive. And what happens when you do something you love to do? You express joy and happiness, and you're very expressive. And you'll notice this within a lot of spiritual areas and centers that, like a special healer, or a special guru, or a spiritual guide, or a shaman, or a teacher, are very happy and very positive and very light, full of light. And that is why they make so much money off their workshops and videos and movies and cities and music, because of that point of being that positive. And the question is then why? So I was looking at this for myself, and it's like when let's say you as a person, when you see someone like that, it's like even just the image of that kind of person who is so positive, that's like at least something that reminds you almost of what it would feel like to have that, because chances are you're in a situation where your environment and your behavior and your actions and your job aren't triggering within you the responses that would be called happiness or love or positive. And of course, the people who they have that environment which triggers that sensations within them, then they're very few, very rare, and you can make that a marketing point, and you can make a lot of money simply from being that kind of person. So even let's say, if you're a real estate agent or a salesman or whatever kind of job that involves working with people, you can attract and bring people to you simply through being positive and being happy. And that's because of that same principle, where people want to have a reminder, an image of the faintest, even the slightest point of positive happiness, which their environment is not triggering within them. So that's really interesting that both my parents told me this, and I, remember this, and it was almost what I thought I had to do. And I mean, I didn't think they realized it, but that's a lot of people make money that way. And now I sort of realize that too within that same point, because, okay, let's say you receive a phone call from a telemarketer. Okay, let's say the person, sounds bored, not interested, very, like this, like very monotone, or, not very excited to be talking to you, talking maybe in a calm way, I guess, very relaxed, and just, yeah. So if someone's talking to you that way, you already in your mind are going to perceive what? That they are an employee that is working on their job, that they have to do, that they're not enjoying it. And so because of that, you're just, okay, they're not really interested in me, invested in me. And so there's maybe you can just try to get me into a deal, which will end up just stealing my money. And because I won't be very satisfied. Why? Because in the end, I won't feel happy and positive, which is quite interesting, because when you buy something you're satisfied with, you're going to feel positive and happy, right? Because you had your need met. And, if you're talking to someone who isn't bringing out that happiness it's like an unconscious point that you've associated that if they're not happy with what they're doing, how could I possibly be happy with buying whatever they're selling me? Or maybe working with them, or, being a client for them. So I think that's quite interesting that we're operating within that framework. Because if you hear someone on the phone that's very happy and cheerful, you don't think that they're like an employee. Maybe they're a friend. So it's like that unconscious point. And, that's maybe like a secret to success in this life. Especially if you know that in the end, you have a product that will make people happy continuously and be satisfied through using it. Because there's two different scenarios. You can be someone who is selling or providing a service that will, be only useful in the short term, but then they will, realize that it doesn't really work or it doesn't really help them, and then they won't be satisfied. And in the beginning they were happy, but then they became whatever, angry or whatever, and then they're no longer a customer. And maybe you charge a lot of money, so maybe you reach a lot of people and make a lot of money that way. Or you can try a different approach and have a product that works that's satisfied. And the more they use it, the more they're satisfied they are with it, and the more happy they are, and the more referrals you get, and the more clients you'll bring in. And so, really, like the saying goes, whether something will stand the test of time. And, if you have a product that truly, fulfills a need and brings about satisfaction at positive points, then through time, theoretically, then you would have a lot of satisfied people. But of course, if you, when present your products, like I was mentioning before, you talk very dull, very uninterested, then the person isn't really going to perceive that satisfaction being met. So it's multiple things to consider. That yes, you need to, let's say, do what you love in that sense. Ideally, that would be so. And ideally, you wouldn't have to sell something that doesn't actually work. Obviously, there's lots of context and situations here, and I'm really on everyone's side. So I understand that if you have to do something that's illegal or, let's say, abusive in order to just survive and make money, well, that's what you have to do. But also, I'm on everyone's side, wherein, let's say, you have plenty of money and it's just a point of greed. Well, then, then you're doing it from that starting point. So that's why self-honesty is such a key point within this, where you know what you're doing and your starting point. And that's what's so great. And I don't even need to know you or have met you in order to explain this, simply because of the amazingness it is our language, with our words, that there's meaning and ability to transfer meaning through words, like this, in this way, through recording, and for it to be applicable based on really my starting point and accessing, everyone, what we stand for in life here on this planet. And, I'm ideally, what I'm actually working for as well is that each one is able to become self-honest and realize that they're participating within a limitation that is self-created, and you are the one created, so you are responsible for it. And that is also why you're able to be the one to release yourself from it, which is quite a cool point when you realize that. You have all the power, and no one really has any power against you. And, maybe you resist this, maybe because you like the idea of being a victim, So this is all really quite interesting, how we work in a very predictable way only because we're all doing the same thing, the exact same thing. And yeah, I mean, even looking at this point I brought up with the spiritual and positive point and how that's used in marketing and sales. And what's interesting is that isn't everyone on this planet unsatisfied? You know, who's really satisfied with how our food system works? You know, how our supermarkets are set up, how our medicine is set up, our pharmacies, our drugs, our government, and all these things I just mentioned, and many more, practically all parts of our system, are all sold in a very positive way. You can look at advertisements for the various drinks and foods. You can look at advertisements for the governments, everyone being positive and happy, and all these different positive points. But you can see, you put stand the test of time, and you see that no one's actually really satisfied. It is only briefly, and what we end up happening is we go through the positive and negative cycle, where we keep cycling into the positive, and then into the negative, and then into the positive negative. And if we were to have a system of any sort that provided long-lasting satisfaction, then that would be amazing. I'm talking about even just one area. I'm not talking about everything. I'm talking about whether it be the criminal justice system or education system or the food system or medicine. It would be amazing to have at least one system where everyone who participated in it were truly and absolutely satisfied with it. And that's why I'm lucky to have found at least one system to work with that directly. So that's quite cool for me personally. And it's really cool, this whole process, the ability to be where I am, to observe where I am, to be able to share like this, to understand how things work, to have the words to express it, and the ability to grow more and become more and do more. That's quite amazing that I have that. And I'm able to, within this new system, to be able to actually create it and make it happen and introduce it into a stranger's life, someone I've never met before, to actually show them the system and explain to them, within realizing that it works, but they just need to use it, that I have that self-honesty where if I am able to support them to use it continuously, and if they're willing to, or if they're looking for that support to support themselves, then they're going to do it. It's going to work. And through time, they're going to see. And it's like, in a way, like planting a tree or gardening or farming. Once you understand a seed's desire to grow, or a plant's desire to grow, and you understand what is required and what would be most beneficial for it to grow as a plant or a seed, then all you have to do is to provide that to that plant and that seed. You set up the ground, you dig the hole, you provide everything it needs, and it's going to grow because it has a desire to live, to grow, And that's the same thing with human beings. Of course, some human beings are ready and they have the desire to grow, and others don't. And, sometimes you have seeds where maybe they were injured, or maybe they weren't strong enough, or something happened to the plant and it just can't grow anymore. That happens. We also know that there's plants, and all the plants are alive today. They have all the desire to grow and become big and strong. It's rooted. And so the same is with human beings. And just like a farmer, I'm a farmer. I just work with the human being as the plant, the human body as the mind, as the grounds, soil, and my words being the explanations and the tools, like water, like preparing the grounds within them to be able to take roots, to be able to start growing. And through time, the plant will grow and will take hold. And of course, it could be any sort of surprises, like in any journey, unexpected rainstorms, unexpected situations, and I'm going to need to act quickly and correctly, be able to be of utmost support. So it's all quite cool and interesting within that. How really there's only one job, there's only one movement, one career available for all humanity. All jobs and all careers are the same. Why? Because we're built in the same way. Human body is built just like a plant or like any animal. We all move according to the same principles. So to be successful in one career, if you're truly successful, then you would be successful in any career and know how to achieve that. And if you don't, then you might have been like me, where maybe you believed you've had great success and achieved much, only because someone told you so, and you got a lot of money, or you got a lot of good grades, a lot of approvals, a lot of congratulations. So you know when you test yourself in different areas, what you can do and what you can't. And that's in the moments, and that's undeniable within your self-honesty. So yeah, it's all quite cool that we're all so much similar or the same. Everything we do is the same, and what we need to grow is the same. So yeah, I'll look out for you. See you around. Bye.